wonderful people. Thank you so much for being here this morning. What I thought we would do to kind of warm up the room a little bit is we would pass the mic, and I would like for everyone to say their name and their business name, okay? And you can say your favorite ice cream if you want to, okay? And then after we do the introduction of the businesses that we have here, I'll do a quick introduction of Leigh Fox, and then Leigh has some thoughts that he would like to share, okay? So we're doing a little bit of, what do you call it? We're calling an audible, so to speak. So for those of you who got the run of show, this is different. Okay. So Cameron, you're gonna lead us off, okay? So you're like the Ella Della Cruz of today's breakfast, okay? Okay. Here you go.
Hi everyone, I'm Cameron Seabrook, the founder of OBAI, an insurtech company that helps process insurance claims after catastrophic storms.
Favorite ice cream?
Favorite ice cream is probably chocolate chip cookie dough. That's the best, hands down.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gary Davis. I am the CEO of Water Lily Learning Centers, and I currently don't eat ice cream anymore.
And you're a board member.
And I am a board member. If you are not a member of the African American Chamber, please talk to Greg so that you can join so that we can reach our goal. Thank you very much.
Greg will take it.
John Moore, President of D360, OG board member. I predate everyone on staff besides Eric.
Oscar Ojas, OCG Telecom. We sell IT and telecom software to primarily the government.
Russell Harris, the Avondale Development Corporation Executive Director. We focus on affordable housing, community development, and small business.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Valencia Moses. I'm a program manager with the African American Chamber of Commerce, and I also have a business called Vibrant Coaching.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Brady Swearingen. I'm the owner of Foresight Consulting. We do training and development assessment and go in and work in organizations, but especially as a diversity inclusion. Favorite ice cream, thank you for reminding me. Well, Neapolitan, so I'm all over. Oh! I'm diverse.
Good morning, my name is Bao Nguyen. I'm here on behalf of Asian Natty. We put on the cultural event like Asian Food Fest, the annual one. Personally, I have a practice with Edward Jones. And favorite ice cream is matcha. And fun fact, I just got back from the Olympics yesterday, so go Team USA.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Ariel Nelson, and I'm the owner of Saturday Morning Live Cereal Bar, which is the only cereal bar in the whole region. We are the first new market concept. We are located in the Avondale Town Center, so make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. It's SMB Cereal Bar, and my favorite ice cream is butter pecan.
You are my friend and my sister. My favorite ice cream is butter pecan. My butter pecan girl. I'm sorry, I was right in the middle of a Bible. My name is Free Cook. I am here with my business partner, LaDonna Williams, and we're part of a coalition, and we work to advocate for children who do not have a voice in Ohio. We're advocates for child care. And we also have some retail businesses, so we're just serial entrepreneurs. But I'm so excited. I'm going to really have a gift for Jill because I was looking for Russell yesterday. And look, God put me right in the room I needed to be in because here he is. So yesterday I spent a lot of time looking for Russell and only to find him right in this breakfast room today. So thank you, Russell. I'll be talking to you soon. And thank you, Jill. I'll be sending you a gift.
Good morning, Tom Fernandez. I'm with all of our design group. And honestly, my wife has banned me from any ice cream and bakery. So,
Good morning. I am Aku Williams. I am a board member for the Chamber. I also am a partner with CyberStore. We do cyber risk consulting. We quantify the cyber risk on your network to provide you with the understanding of the financial impact if you were breached. So we also do cyber awareness training as well.
Good morning, Carl Satterwhite. I am the owner of the RCF Group, Commercial Furniture, Architecture, Interiors, and Facility Services. And myself and ice cream, we are not friends.
I don't eat ice cream either. I'm Laura Mitchell, President and CEO of Beach Acres Parenting Center, where we've been in this community for 175 years, supporting families and kids, and I don't eat ice cream.
Favorite movie if you can't do ice cream? David.
Hi everyone, my name is Tarita Preston. I work as a professional life and leadership coach at Tarita Preston Coaching. I'm also a board member. And really quickly, in August, I'll be doing an event for 100 Women of Color leaders in Music Hall called Leadership for Professional Women of Color. My favorite ice cream is hot brownie fudge.
How do you compete with hot brownie fudge? Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Connie Pillage. I'm here as a candidate for Hamilton County Prosecutor, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Carl. I gotta go with the old strawberry, still a childhood favorite.
Good morning, my name is Chris Owens. I am a board member, and I'm also an insurance advisor for Camargo Insurance. I head up their nonprofit practice. And also, well, if she's going to put in a plug, September 27th, I am putting on a fundraiser for my father, Dr. Odell Owens, for his scholarship fund. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a fun time.
Good morning. I am Kareem Moffitt. I'm here on multi-levels. I am your CPS school board member, one of 7. And I'm also here as an owner of and founder of a nonprofit called Youth Lead Alliance. And we convene youth serving organizations and professionals and put them in the same space so that we can magnify youth voices. So if you have any youth events coming up, please send me an email. Ice cream and I do not get along after 50, I'll tell you. But I'm a big sherbet fan. Pineapple sherbet is one of my favorites.
I forgot mine. I'm going to throw everyone off. Chocolate gelato.
Oh yeah, be fancy.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anastasia Tarpe Ellis, here today as a tech founder. So my company is called GOSA. We help you figure out how to tap into your goals that you care about in your life. We use AI to give you some insights and also connect you to your village of family, friends, and coworkers to get that done. So it kind of looks like a baby registry, but for all of your life. Happy to be here today. I would love to connect with some of the coaches in the room because there's some connections there as well. Favorite ice cream, I love all of it, all the sherbets, gelatos, everything. It breaks my heart to hear y'all who can't eat ice cream, so I'm so sorry. Chocolate chip cookie dough, strawberry, pineapple sherbet, all of it, yes.
Good morning, I'm Shannon Lawson. I'm also the board chair of the chamber. During the day, I'm an attorney at KMK Law. Thank you very much for being here. We had a great turnout, so again, thank you. And favorite ice cream for me would be mocha chip.
Hi, I'm Erica White. I am the Vice Board Chair of the African American Chamber. I am the Indirect Tax Manager for CBTS, and my favorite ice cream is cookies and cream. And I want to echo what Shannon said, and thank you all for coming out this morning.
Hello, I'm Lauren Casey, and I'm the Tax Director at CBTS. And thank you for Erica for inviting me today. My favorite ice cream is classic Grater's raspberry chocolate chip.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Valeria Swope. After several years with the city, I've taken on a new challenge. I'm the DIO consultant for the Brent Spence Bridge project. So I am helping to make sure that small businesses, particularly minority and women-owned businesses, will get a chance to be involved on this project. So that's what I'm going to be doing as I prayed over it and did my leap of faith. So as you all know, I did that with the city and worked hard to make that happen. So now I'm trying to do that for the bridge project. My favorite ice cream, chocolate. Anything chocolate. Men, chocolate.
I'm representing with Diversity Construction. I'll go to the movie. My favorite movie, and it's not even close, is Love Jones.
Oh, that's my favorite movie.
Good morning, I'm Greg Forte. I work for Alloy Development Company and I lead Hamilton County's Office of Small Business. No ice cream for me, lactose intolerant.
Good morning, my name is Edward Tende. I'm the president and founder of Zero Construction. And then I don't eat ice cream.
Cinema!
My name is Chuck Futel. Chuck Futel and Associates. I do business through Primerica. I want to be your financial coach and advisor. I offer solutions, financial solutions for individuals as well as small businesses. And I can't believe it, but I've been working in this industry for 40 years. Can you believe that? And I'm a 5-star wealth manager. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Meredith Whitehead. I'm the founder of the Cedric Group. It's a consulting firm. We specialize in upward mobility, economic inclusion, and community development. And my favorite ice cream is Superman.
Morning, everyone. My name is Philip Toles, President and CEO of Titan Management Group. I'm new to the chamber. I've been a member for the past 2 to 3 months, I believe. Very excited to be here this morning and put faces and names that I've seen. My favorite ice cream is whatever my wife buys.
Hello, my name is Alexis, and I am the founder of Hutch Baby and Hutch Booby Trap, where we provide experiences for families and lactation, basically lactation rooms or on wheels. We provide diapers, wipes, and you could think of for parents that you will forget free of charge, which is our nonprofit. My favorite ice cream is Blue Moon Cookie Dough. Also, by the way, we have Booby Trap Weekend this weekend, so if anybody wants to stop by, come by, and we have panels speaking about motherhood, fatherhood, and what's their journey like as far as postpartum and mental health.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Celeste Treese. I'm the founder of Jackson Street Urban Farms, located in Lincoln Heights. We run an agricultural workforce development program. In Kareem, we are having a showcase on Saturday. We service kids 14 to 21 in agricultural development. We will be bringing the first commercial composting and research site in partnership with the county soon. And on the side, I run a consulting business based on community engagement around environmental and sustainability. So it's great to see everybody today.
And after all of that, I'll keep mine short and sweet. State Senator Catherine Ingram, and I'm here because Eric threatened. And ice cream, I can take it or leave it. I don't really know. Whatever.
Ice cream, anything from Jenny's ice cream. The waffle cone.
All right. Oh, we got 2.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jazz Treadwell, the one that was walking around with the name tags. I'm the office manager at the African American Chamber. And I hope to see you guys at the chamber more often. And we do have an event tomorrow, Founders Day. Woo woo, we're gonna be partying, so y'all need to come back and see us.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Janae Harris. I'm the founder of Taggle Marketing Agency, TAGM LLC. We're a full-service marketing agency, so everything from website building to SEOs, campaign management, brand management, full-service marketing agency. And the African American Chamber is actually one of my clients. So, a favorite ice cream, cherry cordial, honorable mention, Blue Moon Cookie Dough.
And I'll bring it up, but we got
two more people. Who they haven't eaten yet.
Somebody's calling her out. I never saw you. I thought you were here all the time.
Everybody saw me come in, so let's just, okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Christy Coons. I have the pleasure of serving as the president and CEO of our local Urban League. What's just the favorite ice creams? I would say sundae from Graders, strawberry sundae, and if there's someone here from UDF, my favorite ice cream is cookies and cream from UDF.
Well, we got to get that when he sees some love, right? My name's David Evans, President and CEO of Tessic Manufacturing. We do aerospace manufacturing work here in the Ohio area and also out on the West Coast. Favorite ice cream, for those of you who try to hide the ice cream flavor with chocolate and strawberries and pineapple, it's vanilla, just to see if it's any good.
Just introduce yourself, what you do, and your favorite ice cream.
Yes. I'm Erica Garrett. I'm the Executive Director for Collective Empowerment Group. Hi, Chuck. Some of my people are here. What do? Best. I have 4 babies, so I feel like I'm the momager the best. But I do have a great time helping to manage our programs for CEG. And my favorite ice cream? It depends on the time of the year. I would say butter pecan. UDF, butter pecan.
This is going to be a great session. So Leigh Fox, I'm going to tell you why I admire him. Because he is somebody who can make really tough decisions that I don't think I would have the guts, chutzpah to do, like in Cincinnati, Ohio, to change the name of Cincinnati Bell to AltaFiber. That takes guts, courage, vision, all of those things. So just briefly, Leigh is a graduate of Miami University, and he is he's a Bearcat, graduate of the University of Cincinnati where he obtained his MBA. He also is chair of the foundation there. You're chair of ArtsWave too, I believe. Yep. And as someone said earlier today, he is the most approachable CEO that we have in this city. So it's really appropriate that he came to talk to the African American Chamber at our CEO breakfast. And so without further ado, Leigh.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know about the most approachable, but thank you so much. And Eric, thanks for inviting me. Really appreciate it. It's funny, Eric asked me a few months ago, and I was like, oh, that's in August. And then suddenly it's August. How time flies. But I thought I'd just start with a little bit of a background about myself. I think it explains a lot about sort of why I make the decisions I make and how I make them. And then I'll move into a little bit of a description on some of the business issues that we've run into at a high level, and give you a little bit of background, maybe some of the secret sauce that no one sees in the background. And then I just open it up for a conversation. I'm not really a huge fan of talking at people. I'd like to make it as kind of conversational as humanly possible. But first of all, Leigh Fox. I am the president and CEO of AltaFiber, the artist formerly known as Cincinnati Bell, as Eric mentioned. I grew up here in Cincinnati, born and raised. My favorite ice cream is actually, I'm not going to mention the Cincinnati ice creams because I think they're all my customers, so I don't want to be, I don't want to single anyone out, but honestly, our favorite ice cream, my wife's family grew up in upstate New York as farmers, and there's a little ice cream shop that serves a soft serve up in the countryside in upstate New York that we take our kids to when we go visit extended family, and that's by far my favorite ice cream. It's a soft serve, and the cones that they serve, the large is about that large off the cone. So it's completely gluttonous. It's a vacation ice cream, but I would say that's probably my favorite. My family talk about that ice cream quite a bit. So I grew up here in Cincinnati. I am the son of a broken home, basically. I grew up in Corrigan Avenue. I was born in Price Hill. My first memory of an apartment we lived in was somewhere up Coleraine. We sort of migrated up Coleraine as I was very little. My parents were divorced when I was, I think, about 8 years old. Completely lost touch with my father. So I was raised by effectively a mother who raised a son and two daughters. So I was raised in basically a household of women. Why that's important, I think it's honestly what gave me an some increased emotional intelligence, candidly. I was raised by women and surrounded by women, and thank God I was, right? I had an amazing mother. She never graduated college. She was a bookkeeper for small businesses. She didn't make a lot of money. She raised 3 kids. You wouldn't have known that. I always tell her that, like, you wouldn't have known that we didn't have a lot of money. She really did everything she could to raise these kids, and all of us turned out pretty well. I am first generation college student, first generation graduate student. I put my way through college. I worked several jobs during my undergrad at Miami. I actually started late because I was working 40 hours a week and going to school full time at Miami Hamilton. So I couldn't actually afford to go to Miami University, the main campus, so I started in Hamilton. I always say I snuck through the back door. No one saw me in as I made my way in the back door. My undergraduate degree is in geology.
All right.
Reason being is, as I grew up, I didn't, my mom was very busy. I didn't have a lot of guidance around school. And as, the only guidance I got was, you're going to college. Yeah. That was it. It was, and I didn't actually know that there was an option, right? Growing up, it was like, she hammered that into all 3 of us, you're going to college. So when I got to college, all I really knew that I was good at in high school was science. I was pretty good at science, so I thought, I'll go and do something in science. I tell this story to my kids, now that I've got college-age kids all the time. I wanted to be a vet. So I went into veterinary medicine, and then I took microbiology and decided that's not for me. That was one thing. And then I actually, and somebody said they lived in Wyoming. I actually worked for a summer in the Wyoming vet clinic as a little intern for the summer, and decided that it probably wasn't the best profession because anytime they put an animal to sleep, I was bawling. And the vet said, this might not be the best career for you if you cry every time this happens. And so, I had to make some changes. I decided on geology because I like the outdoors. Got my first job out of college was actually in the oil industry. I was a geophysicist for a company called Schlumberger, a global company. I traveled all over the world, got a lot of great experience. I've been to South America, I've been to Africa, Europe, worked all over the world. Decided that industry wasn't the best long term because it is very sporadic, and it's basically the oil industry is 5 weeks on, 5 weeks off. You travel quite a bit. So I decided I'd perhaps go to graduate school. I was fortunate enough to get accepted to UC, and that was a real game changer for me. And I'm incredibly loyal to the school because of it. They accepted a kid, and I was a kid. They accepted a kid who had 0 business experience other than practical, job experience for 4 years. I had never taken a business class. I had never taken an accounting class. I'd never taken a finance class ever. I was just incredibly curious. And I think that curiosity continues to today. But I was fortunate enough, I got accepted into UC. I got my MBA at UC. I actually focused in finance, the 1-year degree. I actually took derivatives as a class. So imagine that. But I think if you would ask the students I graduated with, what was a hallmark for me, how they knew me, I worked really hard. And so when I go and talk to students who, you guys are all executives, students want to know what the formula is. Like, how do I become CEO? What's the formula? And I say, well, first, apparently a geology degree, right? Second, is I said the only common thread that I'm aware of is hard work, right? A lot of it has to do with luck. A lot of it has to do with just being in the right place, the right time. But you get there through hard work, right? You get yourself there. I can tell you, I've been with this company for 23 years. I've seen a lot. I've seen more than I honestly can't really remember. We start talking about some of the things we've been through, and we almost start laughing with each other, like, oh my gosh, that was kind of crazy. But you don't really remember it like that. You remember there's a problem to be solved, and you work really hard to solve the problem, right? And so I started with Cincinnati Bell at the time, and actually it was Broadway at the time, right out of grad school. I wanted to be in IT, and they sort of pitched it to me as an IT company because they were going, national and global and had aspirations. I was hired, and 2 months later, they almost went bankrupt. And it was probably the best thing that candidly ever happened to me as a young person, because I worked for a company in trouble, and they needed talent, and I was able to get opportunities that I probably would never have gotten in any other company. And that's another thing that I tell young kids. Do not be afraid to stick your neck out and work for companies that need help. P&G's great. Some of these big companies are great. The names are great. But don't be afraid of getting involved with a company that needs your talent and will give you responsibilities well beyond some of these other companies. You will learn a lot. And I did. I learned a lot. I was a finance guy, so I always still say, like, that's kind of my core. I started as a financial analyst. I worked my way up as a financial analyst to become effectively the controller and then CFO, COO of CBTS. Just thank you guys for being here today. I spent about 8 years in that company, worked really closely with the president at the time. We developed a data center company. We spun a data center company out. At that point, I was sort of at a crossroads personally, and the new president of the local companies, Ted Torbeck, he was new at the company. He came and he and I built a bit of a relationship. He asked me if I wanted to come and work for him in corporate. I really didn't want to come work for him in corporate. I was very happy at CBTS. It was a tech company, but I was ready for a new challenge. So I said, yeah, well, and I loved Ted to death. And so I came to work for Ted. Worked for him for a few years. I ended up being his CFO when he became CEO. And then I was fortunate enough when he decided he wanted to retire, he asked me, would you ever consider being the CEO? And I said yes. That's my journey. There's a lot that happened in there. As Eric said, making bold decisions. There are a few decisions we have to make as leaders that are tough. I recently told a very good friend of mine, and actually what she's working on is in the news now, that as she started working on it, she called me and said, am I crazy for doing this? And one of the things I really believe in, I say this over and over to people, is you're an idiot until you're a genius. And I've experienced this so many times. Change is hard, right? Change is uncomfortable. You guys have all been. We all have been through something where that feeling when you're going through change, that really uncomfortable kind of pit of your stomach, like I'm either going to throw up or something's going to happen. I mean, you carry that around. That's change, right? In roles like this, you have to embrace that and get used to that. I would say that I kind of live in that realm of constantly feeling that thing in your chest of what's going to happen. It's not a bad thing. I've learned over and over that if you follow your heart, you follow the data, you make the right decisions for the right reasons, you take your ego out of the decision making, you think about the right things and really truly anchor yourself in, am I making the decisions for the right reasons? Have I listened to the people around me? Have I looked at the data and analyzed the data? And if you have to make a decision, you make the one that you feel is right. Not everyone's going to agree with you. Another thing I say, and you guys are well aware of this, is CEO, I very quickly learned I cannot make everyone happy. It's impossible, right? But you have to make decisions. And making decisions, the most important part of that is making sure that you're moving the ball forward. As leaders, the worst thing we can do is be stagnant, right? Change is inevitable. I tell this to people all the time. It's not change, it's evolution. We all evolve. We evolve as people. Our businesses evolve. That evolution is inevitable. If you're the same company that you were 10 years ago, you're probably in trouble, right? You have to evolve. Embrace that evolution, right? Make the decisions. And candidly, if you make a wrong decision, or if something goes wrong, or something goes unexpectedly, adapt, right? That's the other piece that I think I try to explain to people. I've seen decisions, and I learned this early on, I've seen decisions where I thought, hey, we just spent $20 million on this. You could have probably gotten more out of taking that $20 million, putting it in a barrel out front of the office and lighting it on fire and getting some sort of gratification off the fire that you're looking at, rather than the decision you just made. And I'm not kidding. I've seen decisions like that where I thought, this is it, this is the end. And you realize it really wasn't, right? What it was about was making that step forward. Somebody made a decision for that investment. It did not go well, but guess what we did? We adapted. We changed. We changed for the inputs, and we adapted, right? Eric mentions the name change. That had to happen. We were, I was the third CEO to consider changing the name. We were no longer just a Cincinnati-based company. We had CBTS, which was Canada Global. We had a network that was extending in the Midwest, far beyond Cincinnati. And you know, you guys know the area. Imagine going to Dayton, saying, be a Cincinnati Bell customer. Right? It doesn't go over as well as you would think. We had just acquired Hawaii, so we run a statewide network in Hawaii. All of that, and honestly, our aspirations and where we knew we could take the company, all equaled the fact that we needed to make a change. And so, as hard as it was, and it was a hard decision, right? When we made it, I was fully prepared to be punched in the face quite a bit as I walked out into society and into Cincinnati and into meetings. And look, there are still people that will come to me and say, I hate your name. I will never call AltaFiber. It's always Cincinnati Bell. And my response is, I'm okay with that. Call us what you want to call us. Are you a customer? Yeah, great. Call us what you want to call us. I don't care. We did not make the decision for today. We didn't make the decision for next year. I made the decision for who we need to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And the only way that you get to that place is to make the decision now, right? And then embrace with empathy how people react to it, right? I understand that there's a massive legacy here in Cincinnati. I understood what the consequences would be. And I truly care about how people react. And I am truly okay if they never want to call us AltaFiber. And I know that there is a demographic, and the older demographic in Cincinnati, my mom still calls us Cincinnati Bell, right? I'm okay with that. But that's not why we made the decision. We made the decision for the customers that are going to be 10 years from now who think about us as a tech company and an internet company. And they understand that we spent $1.5 billion regionally to put in a new state-of-the-art network for the region, for the economy. And they think about what's tech, what do I want, what's the best internet, what's AltaFiber, right? And that's why we made the decision. And a lot of decisions are made like that. A lot of decisions are made not because of what we have to do today. My job as a leader is to look 5, 10 years in advance and say, what does it have to look like then? And how do we begin to get there, right? So that's how we end up thinking about some of the decisions. So look, as bold as they seem, there's a lot of logic that goes behind them, but there's also a lot of fear, right? Bold decisions, tough decisions, they're hard, and I'm a human being. That the week that we announced that beginning of the week, I called Ted Torbeck, my old boss, literally just to say, I'm freaking out, Ted. Like, am I doing the right thing? I need, you sat in this seat. I'm freaking out. Like, and he said to me, it has to happen, Leigh. It has to happen. Now's the time. You're doing the right thing. So even as leaders, sometimes we just need somebody to go, yes, right? We're all human beings, right? And it's okay. And I think one of the things, I learned through the pandemic, and I think, hopefully we all learned, that being a human, being transparent, that's what leadership is. And candidly, that's what our employees expect from us, right? As I started, through the pandemic, talking to people and employees and CBTS, if you guys were here during the pandemic, I don't know, they saw, I would send out daily blogs. And sometimes they were just daily rants from me of just like, I'm scared, right? What I learned from that was some of the feedback I got was, I'd say something about my family or my dogs, and they're like, oh my God, you have dogs? I'm like, yeah, like I have a family too. And like, I think sometimes and you get these positions and the title, the title takes you to some other place in people's minds, right? You have to, as leaders, you have to respect that. But at the same time, you have to show them that you're much more than that, right? And in this day and age, to gain the trust of the people around you, you have to be vulnerable, you have to be transparent. So one of the things I've learned through that is it's okay to be me, it's okay to be vulnerable, and I think maybe that's why Eric says I'm approachable, because I made a decision. That's who I am. I'm not going to change being me. I'm going to respect the title and I'll respect the job, but I'm not going to let it change who I am. And I'm going to continue to be that kid from the west side of Cincinnati, and that's okay, right? And there's a lot to give there. And I think the reason that's important is because when you make tough decisions, that transparency, that empathy, who you are, matters in those decisions, right? As I said earlier, not everyone's going to agree with you, but I always say to employees, my job a lot of times is to explain the why we do things. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm going to explain why we did it, right? And the why, and explaining the why, is important. And if you do that with caring and empathy, and you try to say, I get it, but here's the data we were working with, here's why we made the decision we made. A lot of times what I've gotten feedback on, employees will say, and people around me will say, and even in the name change is a great example. One of the best feedback I got, pieces of feedback, was somebody I know very well called me and said, I hate it. Emotionally, I hate it. Intellectually, I totally understand why you're doing what you're doing. But emotionally, I hate it. But I get it. You have to do it. And when you sit down and you talk to people, and you really try to explain your side and understand their side, a lot of times that's the feedback you get. It's like, I disagree, but I get it, right? So that's a lot of what I try to do as a leader, and that's a lot of working through tough decisions. That's a lot of what we try to do as we work through tough decisions. So it honestly makes what seem like tough decisions and bold decisions a lot easier. Because you are working your way through it, and there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of conversation, a lot of transparency, and at the end of the day, you do have to make a decision. Again, as leaders, I always say, my job is to herd the cats in that direction, right? And herding the cats, the most important thing is you see all of it moving in that direction. Where it ends up over there, it's the journey, and the people actually doing it will dictate where exactly you end up over there. The most important part is everyone's moving, right? Because if it's not moving, we're in trouble. So that's a little bit of background. I hope that was helpful. I'd like to open up for questions or conversations. Again, I don't like to just talk at people, so Anyone have any questions? Oh yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you for admitting you have a geology degree that you're not using. I have a biology degree that I'm not, so
Yes.
solidarity there. But as you've been talking about making challenging or tough decisions, something that we've seen as a chamber is a lot of times businesses will start and they're doing a lot of different things. And sometimes you have something that's successful, but it may not be the best thing to continue doing to plan for that future. So could you talk a little bit more about making that decision to let go of something that might be successful, but it should not be the thing that you continue to do? So you know, that tough decision of streamlining so that you can increase the effectiveness of what you do.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, CBTS is a great example. So I actually, when I look at the company that I work for, I consider myself, I grew up in CBTS, our technology solutions company. I learned a lot. Candidly, it's the reason why I am where I am. I got great experiences. I worked for fantastic people. I care tremendously about the people over there. When I became CEO, it became very, very apparent that I had two companies. And the two companies were fed very differently. One was a people company, and one was a networking company. You fed the people company with talent. You had talent in the network company, but you fed it through capital, right? And the two were incredibly different, and they were on two very different trajectories. When I came to the job, they were trying to merge the companies together, and I immediately made a decision that does not feel right, and it's the wrong thing to do. We're going to separate them. When I did that, I knew someday we were going to separate from CBTS, right? Because they were just two drastically different companies. Culturally, I mean, there were differences. It did not feel natural. That was not an easy decision to make. Again, I cared tremendously, not only about the people, but about the organization itself. Like these tax group, I created the finance folder that they probably still see in Outlook. Like, look, I actually was the one that went create folder, call finance, right? I have a lot of history there, but it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do for the people. It was the right thing to do for the business. So what we focused on was what is best for both businesses, right? What's best for CBTS is that they don't feel like a stepchild, which I think a lot of times they did in the kind of the corporate realm. And what was best for the network company was focus, right? That we had a, like intense focus on being the best networking company, right? And the marriage was successful, right? Because we were able to spin CBTS off, candidly, for a lot of money. It was a very successful spin-off. They're going to be very successful as they move forward. It's going to be different for them. They're going to have to learn how to be like without us. That's not going to be that easy. They're going to go through bumps in the road, but they're going to be successful. We are now highly focused on what we are doing and what we do really well. Candidly, on a very tactical basis, what I had to do personally during that, I had to start to kind of divorce myself from that company. I knew emotionally it was going to be very hard for me, but I knew it was going to be the right thing, so I started to separate myself from that company. And one of the things I did was, like, an example, was I talked to the president of that organization a year and a half ago. This was coming into 23. And then I said, I'm no longer going to communicate with you. That we know what's going to happen. Like it's inevitable. I think it was 22 actually. We know what's going to happen. They need to see you as the leader, not me, right? So I'm going to separate. You are still going to meet with me, so I still had weekly meetings with him and his CFO, right? They still reported to me. I was still responsible for them, but he needed to be seen as building a leadership team that was responsible for that company. And I personally needed to step away, because when it was time to sell, I needed to do that with clarity, right? And I needed to do it with no emotion and be able to say, this is what's best for everybody, right? It was hard. And it's still hard, candidly, right? You know, and I tell my people, you know, they're different companies. We're not always going to agree with what each one is doing. We're not supposed to, right? They need to go figure the world out. We need to figure the world out here. And that's okay. That's what's supposed to happen, right? But that's an example of how we dealt with a really tough separation and focus, right? And now, look, I'm very happy. I'll be the biggest fan that they have, right, moving forward. I can't wait to see what they do. I want to see them all very successful. But it was hard. It was a hard thing to do.
Leigh, we've had the pleasure to work with a lot of different companies and listen to a lot of different CEOs. Over the last track, trying to make, attract, retain staff. What's the next chapter? What are the hard decisions around the corner as you see it?
For staff.
For staff.
Yeah. I personally think, so the question was, we made a lot of hard decisions around staff, and we've been through a lot through COVID and coming out of COVID. And how do you bring people back, and how does that all work? And then what do I see as the next thing? For me, one of the things I personally learned during COVID is that you can trust your employees. And, so we're very much a company of, I'm going to treat you like an adult. I'm not forcing you to do anything. Like, we have an office. So to bring them back, it wasn't, instead of going, you're coming back, what I did was say, I'm going to reinvest in the office. I'm going to make it a cool place. And I don't think people realize when I said cool what I really meant, because we're not a company that spent a lot of things like that. So I spent a lot of money on an office, 2 floors. We consolidated from 7 or 8 floors to 2. And I said, we're going to build it this way, and I want you to come back sometimes, right? And even I was pushed on that, right? They're like, human beings, inevitably, candidly, they want to be told what to do. I hate to say it, but like the feedback, they're like, what do you mean? What does come back mean? Like, tell us. And one of my staff said, well, just give them a percentage. So I said, okay, shoot for 50%. And the reaction I got to that, you would think we have like, areas to clock in and out of, like time cards as you walk in. Like, well, when do I clock in? And I finally said, no, enough. I said, the 50% is a guide. I'm not going to tell you like when you have to be in, when you have to be out. You're adults. Get your work done. We'll deal with the folks that aren't, but I'm tired of managing for the exceptions and not the rule. We're going to manage to the rule, and we'll manage the exceptions out, right? That's not corporate America, by the way. Corporate America is typically flipped. Corporate America is run by lawyers and finance people, right? Sorry. But it's managing liability, right? And it's managing for the exceptions. And what you learn as a leader is like you can flip that and you can start managing for the rule. So that's what we learned. Going forward, I think the hard part is how does technology and changes in technology play into the changes in the workforce, right? I get a lot of comments, or you read a lot about like younger people, right? They don't want to work. I don't see it. Like the young people we bring in have been fantastic. What I do see, and I'm kind of living this with my kids, we've automated things like HR. Who here works in HR? HR has been automated in a lot of places. I worked with my son over the summer to help him find a job. The automated HR systems are so hard to deal with. Like, people will complain, well, we just don't have enough talent. I'm not sure it's a talent issue from what I experienced over the summer with my kids. We're trying to automate and save money on everything, and there's a lot going wrong in that process and how we're looking at employees. I'm personally starting to think, and this is something like I'm going to start talking to my HR group about, is the whole bring them in and actually talk to them as people. We need to do more of that. We need to get to know people as individuals and human contact, and not have everything done through an app and filtered through an app, and that's what's happening in a lot of places. right? My son got ghosted by more organizations that he got like an acceptance to. And even the one that he now has a job to, I ended up knowing people in that company just because of my role in the city, and I never used my role. But I had to actually contact people and say, hey, his email's being bounced back. He can't get a hold of anybody. And they're like, oh, so we'll fix that, right? To me, something is fundamentally broken as we try to automate things. My fear, where I'm going with this, is as AI becomes more prevalent, we start to lean on technology more, that piece is we're going to become impersonal. We're going to lose that connection as human beings and with our employees, and especially bringing talent in. We have to figure that out. The most important piece is understanding the talent pool we have, bringing them up, and figuring out a way to connect with them initially and staying connected with them, right? I'm a little nervous about that going forward. Is that helpful?
Yeah, perfect. And wow.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I have a quick question. I recall saying one of the reasons that you changed the name is because you are expanding.
Yeah.
And then, so my question is this: what should entrepreneur consider while expanding in the new market?
That's a great question.
And then another question.
Yeah. Part B. Okay.
And the second one is, what are the best, because you also say you were a CFO before becoming a CEO, so what are the best financial practices you can share to ensure business growth?
Two very good questions, hard questions. On the first question on expansion, pace, be careful on pace, and make sure you're listening to your customers and not doing things because you think you can do them. I've experienced a lot, and I joke around with, in telecom and communications, we have a lot of engineers. And I sort of joke that boys with toys, right? A lot of them, like any profession, engineers have to prove that they're the smartest people in the room, and they like to build things. Just because you can build it doesn't mean you should build it. I would say as entrepreneurs, keep that in mind. Just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should do something. The should, in my mind, at least in my opinion, is the connection with the customer. Is there customer demand? Is your customer asking for it? Can you sell it? Right? Can you convert what you just built to cash for yourself? Right? And then connecting that to your financial conversation. To me, that's the number one. P&Ls, understanding P&Ls, the most basic thing is understanding cash flow. Make sure that you understand how money comes in and how it's converted to cash. Make sure you understand working capital, right? Receivables versus payables. But you'd be surprised at how many people don't understand that. That, in any business, whether you're a small business or whether you're my business, understanding cash flow is critical, right? We have this conversation all the time with salespeople. Like, I'll get into these dialogues where people go, yeah, but revenue, like we're going to bring in $10 million of revenue, and I'm like, but you're also bringing in $12 million of expense. The math doesn't work, right? Like, where am I making money in this? And then you want a commission on your $10 million, $11 million, right? So help me, right? It's those kind of dialogues that you have to understand the motivations of the people around you, but always understand how everything connects to cash. Because whether you're small or whether you're large, cash is king, right? I have said this to Wall Street. I have dealt with Wall Street guys. I've dealt with ebbs and flows. I've dealt with, Wall Street is a funny animal. Wall Street, they get enamored with trends. And think all Wall Street are like bankers. There's some mystery around banking. All they are salesmen. Right? We always joke, something happens, this past week, a big deal was announced in our industry. The amount of calls I got from bankers. right? Because they're like sharks in the water. They sense blood, they sense a sale. Like, you always have to focus on, I get it guys, but what is good for us and what converts to cash and value, right? I call it meat and potatoes finance. Do not get kind of disillusioned by P&L trickery and it all just converts to what converts to cash flow. That's it. That's all you should focus on, and understanding that intimately, right? Next.
One of the challenges I find from leaders is that when they make those decisions, they're afraid.
They're afraid?
Yeah. But when we slow it down, it seems like they are making themselves responsible for people, their happiness, their wellness, their livelihood, their source, versus being responsible to people.
Yeah.
To making a good decision, to being to making
Amen.
a future. But one is way more emotional brain, right? And the other one's a little bit more logical, rational. How have you yourself balance that? And I think it's challenging as a CEO to not being I'm responsible for everyone.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard. I can tell you personal experience. I grew up with a mom who would come home crying at nights because she was so miserable, both stuck in a job because she had 3 kids to support. I remember it vividly. I told myself I would never ever do that. I'd never do it to myself. I would never do it to anyone around me. So it really has influenced some of my style too. Like, I tend to manage with a sense of humor, right? Why do I do that? Because why would you not laugh and have fun with what you're doing? We're not saving or killing people here. This is like, there are jobs that do that. We are not one of them, right? So have a sense, have fun with it, right? I don't want people around me that are miserable. I have had to make decisions that are really hard around people. First and foremost, I anchor myself around, if I have to make this decision, it's probably best for both sides. So you have to understand that, especially when you're letting people go, if you're letting people go, they're going to find something else and probably something better, right? Or at least that's the hope. And we do try to position it where we help them, but it's better for both parties. So I anchor in that. But I also anchor in the fact that, and I tell this to people, if you make these kind of decisions and it doesn't personally affect you, go do something else with your life, right? Because you've become too hardened, right? When we have, and I've been through releasing people more times than I care to talk about, because we're a turnaround. We're a 150-year-old turnaround. It affects me, right? My wife knows what I've had to do, right? She knows, like, leave Leigh alone. Like, he needs to go sit in a corner and be emotional, right? That's okay. And I try to tell people that's what should happen, right? You're human. It should affect you, but you still need to make the decision, right? And let yourself work through it. So when I talk to my leaders about it, that's candidly what I say, is it's okay to be upset about it. Like, it's okay. These are people's lives that are being affected, including yours. But to your point, you have to do what's right for the organization. Because today, not soon I won't, but today we have almost 5,300 employees. I have to do what's best for the 5,300 employees. I can't always think about the individual. And I've had to I've had to release people that are good friends. And that's tough. But you have to do it because it's the best thing for the organization. And that's your job. And if that's not something you're comfortable with, go find another job. Right? And on the flip side, if you're too comfortable with it, go find another job. Right? Because you've changed inside, right? So that's at least how I think about it when you're making those tough decisions.
Yes, I want to ask you a question about competition. Obviously, there are 2 major internet companies.
There are?
And so I want to get your point of view. How do you handle it? And what I'd like for you to do is to talk about it from the standpoint we have a number of business people in here, and there are a lot of learning experiences. And so I would like for you to talk about it in terms of how we learn to be competitive.
Yeah. I can just tell you how I think of it. So unfortunately, as he mentioned, there are two options, not just one. And in some cities, there are more than two, right? The one that we deal with, that which will not be named, they're much larger than we are. So it's a little bit of a David versus Goliath. The way that we handle it, like they could spend more on marketing in a month than I can in a year, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many mailing DMs I get. I mean, I get DMs from them in multiple languages. Like I've got Spanish language DMs. Like, wow, hola, Leigh. Like, that's great. Like, I should have thought about that, right? Like, I can't imagine what their local budget is. I can't fight that, right? And we don't try to fight that. What we try to do is we try to be the company that knows their origin and knows who they are, right? My origin is here in Cincinnati. We try to be the company that is close to the community, right? Well, why is that? And I always tell people, one, it's the right thing to do. Two, it's a virtuous cycle. If you lift the community, we're a service provider. You've lifted your company, right? So one of the things we did, and I recently told a CEO that I had lunch with in our industry this, and he was like, "You do what?" When I became CEO, we announced that we were giving employees an extra 40 hours a year for just community service. That's on top of PTO and everything else. And all we asked of them was, let us know what you're doing, right? And not in the vein of, Big Brother's watching. It was more in the vein of, we want to brag about you, right? If you're giving back to a neighbor, just let us know. If you're giving back to your school, just let us know. Church, just let us know. Let us know what you're doing. It doesn't have to be any corporate thing, just let us know what you're doing. That sent, pre-pandemic, we were up to 15,000 to 20,000 hours annually in our communities. I think we're back up to around 10,000 this year, post-pandemic, of people just giving back to the communities. That lifts the community, that lifts us as an organization, right? So one of the things we really believe about is that virtuous cycle. We do that here, and we do that in Hawaii. We do that in Dayton, now that we've expanded into Dayton. We combat that kind of David versus Goliath by being very deep in the community, right? So that's thing one. Thing two is, I do not stoop to their level. I do not believe in playing dirty. And sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes what feels good is you want to react to, you know what they said about us? Let's get them, right? Take the higher ground, right? We always preach, take the higher ground, right? Be the company that you want to be, and eventually it may not feel good. May not feel good in the short term. You may want to punch them, but don't. But because in the long run, people see the quality and the character of the organization, and that's what matters, right? And so if you notice, a lot of our advertising is not focused on attacking the competition. That's not who we are. Our advertising is based on who we are and how we live in the communities that we serve. That's who we are. So I think understanding your identity and being secure and making sure that you focus on that identity and stay focused on that identity is incredibly important.
Okay, one last question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay, two. We'll do.
Okay, two. We'll do. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I live and work. Well, I work in a Wi-Fi desert. After.
Yep.
What does AltaFiber suggest we do to improve the Wi-Fi deserts around the city, especially the disenfranchised neighborhoods?
Yeah. It's a great question because Wi-Fi is obviously.
I mean, this is 2024.
Yeah, well, Wi-Fi is obviously, especially free public Wi-Fi. wish, and we've actually looked at this, we looked at a citywide Wi-Fi net. It's so expensive to actually get done. We have worked with communities to put in hotspots and different things. And I know we're working with Avondale in different ways. We work with CPS, I see Laura back here during the pandemic, to make sure that students who candidly we thought would disappear got access to internet and free internet. So one of the things and thank you for working with us on that, and she should get a lot of credit for this, is making sure that you focus on students that, candidly I felt like would disappear, during that time. So we work a lot with organizations on private-public investments. That's the way you can solve things, through private-public partnerships. Raise money, do it for the right reasons. We do that quite often, but unfortunately it is a very expensive endeavor. Even just providing internet, as much as it feels free, it's not free. There's a lot that goes behind it. But the equipment, like Wi-Fi, is expensive. But we try to find ways to work with communities, the government, the BEAD money, government subsidies. So for Avondale, if you guys haven't looked into what kind of government subsidies we can get with BEAD coming through, with NTIA funding, different kind of funding that the government and counties have. If you need help, I know who you deal with. Get with John and say, John, can we be going after money and subsidies that we don't have, that we can leverage? Right.
Okay, this one is more about the community lens versus the business. I was born and raised in Vietnam, and I've been here for over 20 years. I consider Cincinnati home, but thank you for being wrong. I don't always feel like this is home. I think the community is ever changing, to your point, evolving. What do you see the future of Cincinnati as a region? Because I want it to be a premier city. I'm just not sure it's there yet. But often I find myself going places more than actually staying in, even though this is home.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I'm saying that with the context,
100%.
As a global citizen, this happens to me.
Well, 100%. I think and I'm engaged in a lot of these conversations, not all of them. I think part of our struggle as a community, what high school did you go to? I mean, it seems fun. It seems fun to go, what high school did you go to? It seems fun if you actually grew up here. If you didn't grow up here, it's not the most welcoming question in the world.
Exactly.
Right? And so I think as a community, we have to start to get past that. We have to start embracing more diversity. And candidly, the way that you embrace more diversity is through growth. Like, you can't take the current population and say, be more diverse. Right? It's not going to happen. Right? What you need to do, and I'm a big believer, and this is how you change minds and hearts too. You need to say, okay, current community, here's some more friends to get to know. And by the way, these new friends, they're diverse, right? And that's how you become a diverse community. You grow in a diverse way. We as a city have to embrace more of this and figure out ways of actually attracting and retaining diverse talent, right? We need to retain the talent that's coming out of UC. It's why I'm involved so heavily in UC. We have a tier 1 research institution, the biggest employer in the city, massive amount of students coming in and out of there, diverse, right? That leave. Why do they leave? Why aren't we focusing on staying? It's why I'm involved in the arts, right? What are the arts? The arts are the way we find our weird, right?
Yeah.
To me, you find your cool, you find your weird through the arts. You find your tribe through the arts, right? And so making this an arts-based community focused on the arts is important. I think that focus and culture, right? ArtsWave does a great job in diversifying culture and how they invest in the arts. Diversifying culture, diversifying the amount of people that come in, but more importantly, growing the amount of people that come in, growing the population is key to me. I don't think we're doing everything we need to do. And there's, by the way, not everyone agrees with me. There are people in the community that think we're just fine, right? But there are also people like me that are fighting against just fine, right? And so, look, and by the way, I say that in the most healthy way possible because that's a healthy dynamic. Unlike the political world that we live in, we are allowed to have disagreements and political disagreements and cultural disagreements as long as we're talking through them and trying to work through them together, right? And that's what you see. But for me personally, that's how I would answer that. That's what I think the solution is. So, and that's, well, thank you guys so much for listening.
Okay, beautiful people, thank you all very much, and let's thank Leigh. I mean, that was really remarkable.